Hey guys, welcome back to the Stuff of Legend. My name is D'Lo, and I have another video for you guys. Hopefully the video is caught up to the audio and stuff. I just got started doing Ethernet connection for my computer, and I know what you're thinking. You've done 100 videos, and this is the first time you've Ethernet connected? Yes, because my router is on the other side of the house, and I finally got a cable that is long enough for the distance. 100 feet, in fact, which is insane. And I got it for pretty cheap on Amazon. Cat 6, great stuff. But that's not what we're here to talk about. What I wanted to talk to you guys about today, in general, I will not talk in details. I just got back from seeing Venom. And I have a lot of thoughts on this film. Now, first off, I wanted to go ahead and pull up for you guys something very interesting. Rotten Tomatoes Venom. So this was really interesting. I wanted to show you guys something. So far, the tomato meter on here is shocking. Very, very shocking. Going into this movie, not having seen it, obviously, there is a lot to take in as far as other people's expectations and results having seen this film. The tomato meter is the critical review, and it shows 32% disapprove, or it's a massive disapproval from the critics of Venom. Only 32% gave it any kind of positive consensus. It looks pretty grim on the critical end. 32 is very, very, very low. That's not a good review. However, in opposition of this, the audience score is 89% of the audience loved Venom. And this is really good. That's a strong score. 89, just shy of 90% audience score loved Venom, and it's very contrasting. And what this tells me, especially now that I have seen the film, I can speak to this. I can say, look, I understand why Venom got a lower score from the critics than it did from the audience, and here's why. It's not like it's the next Dunkirk. It's not like it's the next cinematic masterpiece. It's not going to, make you like weep, or it's not going to like make you walk out of the movie feeling the way that some of these Oscar-winning movies will make you feel. This movie is not going to win an Oscar. Very likely, it's not going to win any kind of Oscar. However, I would argue that for CGI, it could be up there, and I'll get to this in a second. The critics, they don't think like fans. In fact, they kind of have to think like doctors and like lawyer types, highly analytical, very emotionless. They have to be very critical in their thinking and not connected to one thing or another. Like, they can't be favoritist. They can't have any kind of emotional drive in their work. It has to be cold. It has to be calculating. They have to look at facts. And that's probably why Venom got a lower score, because as a big picture, it fails to provide a good, I want to say like just a good movie going experience from a casual film goer's perspective. But on the other hand, Venom as a comic book movie and Venom as a character movie based on a comic book character that people are fans of does some serious justice in the way of giving us a very, very solid Venom that is very true to the character of Venom, despite the fact that there's no Spider-Man involved in this film. And that's something that was very difficult to wrap our brains around as fans going into this. I'm thinking, what the heck? Like, why isn't there Spider-Man? But then you guys know me, I'm always digging into news and stuff. It's a complicated web that they weave between Sony and Marvel, because Spider-Man is Sony's property to make movies with, but they're letting Marvel borrow them. So now all of us, the fans who don't really dig into the news, we're thinking, why is Sony taking back Spider-Man? They're not taking back. I mean, they are taking back Spider-Man because he's their property. But Venom really surprised me with how well it was able to tell the story of Eddie Brock without having Spider-Man involved in the story yet. And I say yet because Sony is going to take back Spider-Man eventually. I think we have 2 more movies with him, Far From Home, and then also Avengers 4. Those are the 2 movies that we can expect to see Spider-Man in, and then he's back in the hands of Sony unless they cut a new deal. And at that point, after then, they can start to have Venom and Tom Holland Spider-Man crossover. That would be very interesting. But Venom, it blew my socks off. Just the way, as a fan, you guys know me, I'm a huge geek. I love Venom. I've always loved Venom. Anyone who loves Spider-Man loves Venom. It's almost synonymous. And they did such a great job. And Tom Hardy's performance as Eddie Brock, and as Eddie Brock specifically suffering from, becoming a symbiotic entity with Venom, they did a great job. Riz Ahmed was a little bit at first seemed very generic, but by the end you really get into it because it's a comic book movie. It doesn't have to be the greatest logic. I mean, it's all fantasy anyway. You know what I mean? So I won't get into details because I want you guys to be able to enjoy it yourselves. But I can see why the critics gave it a lower rate, but fans gave it a much better rate because fans they're not thinking like robots or doctors. They're not thinking like, like let's give it a 10 out of 10 for script. Let's give it a 10 out of 10 for this or that, or maybe 8.5 for that. Or they're not really thinking about that. They're just like, whoa, dude, that was some sick action. Oh my gosh, look at that. The graphics and yes, the animation and CGI that was involved in this film was killer. It was really good. Venom looks amazing. He looks better than I've ever seen any adaptation of Venom. The only difference between him and comic book Venom is the spider symbol, but there's a reason for that because he gets the spider symbol because Spider-Man wore the suit. So when he then leaves Spider-Man and then joins with Eddie Brock in the original origin of Venom, he has the symbiotes, he has the spider, and then he has web. They really did a good job of holding off on those things because he's never bonded with Spider-Man. So in this iteration, there is no Spider-Man yet. Well, I guess technically there is, but just not in this movie, not in this world at this time. So, yeah, I thought it did a fantastic job. There's so much depth. The best part about the movie, I think, is the relationship between Venom and Tom Hardy. It was so much fun. Yeah, my buddy Dusty just chimed into the chat right now and said the soundtrack was terrible. I thought that's funny that you mentioned that because we saw it together. A group of us went, and I wasn't thinking about the music throughout any part of the movie except for right at the beginning and right at the end. All throughout the middle and all that stuff, the music was not on my mind at all. And maybe it's a difference of mentality, but at the same time, that was one of the things that stood out to me when I saw Black Panther was that the soundtrack was really good. And Guardians of the Galaxy, the soundtrack was really good. Thor Ragnarok, it was really exciting. Iron Man, it was really exciting, really fun. 1980s rock, it was fun. And with Venom, I can agree. It wasn't notable. I'm not going to say that the soundtrack was bad. It just wasn't something that stuck out to me. And so for that, I can say, okay, yeah, probably. If it wasn't memorable, then it probably wasn't great. I don't know if it was bad or terrible. He says a good soundtrack helps build the mood and the character. I would agree. A good soundtrack does help to build that, but I'm gonna have to see it again and then I'll have to think about it. So at the best, I would say at best case scenario for Venom, the soundtrack was good enough. It wasn't anything like, oh my gosh, that soundtrack, So, and at the worst, you're right. It was terrible, but I think I just wasn't paying attention to that. It just didn't stick out to me. So you're probably right. Anyway, overall, Venom, lots of fun. I'm definitely going to be seeing it again. As soon as the movie was over, in my head, I was like, I need the Blu-ray. I need to buy the Blu-ray. I want to have this film. I want it on my shelf. I want to own this movie. I want to be able to rewatch this with my brother over and over and over and over again. It's a lot of fun. And there are 2 after credit scenes, so make sure to stay for those. Very, very exciting, a lot of fun, and it gives you something to look forward to for sure. It's fun. Now, that being said, acting. I thought the acting was really good. I was surprised. Riz Ahmed is a good actor, but he played a role in this one, being one of the main antagonists. That and you can determine that from the trailer. That's no surprise. But from the trailer, like him being that corporate, guy that's doing like experiments, the Life Foundation. We all knew this from the trailer. It was a lot of more emotion given that I haven't seen Riz Ahmed do. In Star Wars Rogue One, he played a really damaged individual, and he did a great job, but it was a very different character, and that was a lot of fun to see. And he did it really well, very believable, very calculating, very like I would say cold to human emotion. I think um, very cool character, and even the other supporting cast. Let me see. Where my notes go? I think it's right here. Even the supporting cast, Michelle Williams as Anne Wang, she was good. Um, Scott Hayes, the security chief, he was really cool. Reed Scott as Dan Lewis, Dr. Dan Lewis, that was a lot of fun. I hadn't seen him in too much, but it was nice to get to see him again. Jenny Slate. Now this was interesting to me because Jenny Slate is a character who I had seen her in a couple of things, but after I had seen her on what's it called? Parks and Recreations. I could never get that out of my head. She's like, ha, money, please. Like really annoying, nasally. She's the sister to John Ralphio. She's the worst. And they play these really annoying characters that are hilarious. They're hilarious to watch. You're laughing your head off, but you're also like cringing because it's so bad. But she, again, just like Riz Ahmed, plays a very different character and was pretty good. I thought not an Oscar-winning performance, but it was believable, and that's the point of acting: is you want to tell a story. And so they did their jobs. I thought the acting was pretty good. Obviously, Tom Hardy he steals the show. Obviously, he's the star, but his relationship with Venom was so fun and unique, and just watching him having to come to terms with his new reality as a symbiotic creature was really cool. Lots and lots of fun. I think that's that at the end of the day, that's what Venom was. It was fun, and I think that's why the audience score is 89% versus the critical score being what did I say it was 32%, which is very low. So, don't expect Dunkirk, but be ready to have a lot of fun. And I think that's kind of my thoughts there. A lot of good trailers just because of the time of year it is and the nature of the movies that are coming up. There's a lot of fun to be had. I was really hoping that there would be some sort of a tease for the Deadpool before Christmas. That would have been a lot. That would have been really nice to get some sort of a marketing thing going for that, because Deadpool, that whoever it does the marketing for Deadpool is the king of marketing. There is no greater marketing than Deadpool's marketing. It's just a fact. So I was really looking forward to possibly seeing something in that realm, because Christmas is like 2 months away, and I was hoping to see something there, but I think they're playing it really close to the chest, probably trying not to spend a whole lot of money, because they're re-releasing Deadpool 2 in a PG-13 format with a little extra spin, the Christmas spin, telling the story, so that they don't have to get into the cussing and the sex and all that stuff. So really cool. I enjoyed Venom a lot. I can't wait to get into more spoiler details with you, because there is a lot to talk about. A lot of cool things and a lot of tie-ins, and it even provoked a lot of theories that I was able to build and generate and just like let my mind ramble on, because of the content of the movie. And Dusty says it was a fun movie. Agreed. And I would have appreciated if there was a better understanding of what changed the character Venom, his mindset, and the thought process. Yeah, I mean, that was one thing that I think me and Zach, our buddy, talked about on the way out of the theater, was that it felt like if they had taken a little bit more time, it would have been more fun. I don't think it was necessary. Like, from my perspective, it didn't seem like they skipped anything critical, except for one thing I don't want to talk about just because this is a non-spoiler review. But um, if they had given the movie more time, because I think it's only like an hour and 50 minutes or something like that. It's kind of short. Most movies nowadays are 2 hours and like 10 minutes or something. This is only 112 minutes. That's not a lot. Um, so it was a short movie, but again, for the budget and just for like the nature of it, I thought it was good to have a movie that was as short as it was and fun as it was. Yeah, 158. Yeah, so it was just under 2 hours. And they could have given it maybe another 15 minutes for character development, but I don't think it was necessary. It would have been more fun, but not necessary. And I think that's where the Blu-ray is going to come in, get an extended cut with like the additional scenes and whatever they have. That'll be fun. And I can't wait to talk with you guys about that. I will be probably making another video at some point, if not tomorrow night, maybe even later tonight, talking about Venom in some spoiler detail. And then I'll work on a theory video for you guys, because I could probably go off on 2 or 3 different theories involving the MCU Sonyverse collision, and then just the Sonyverse, what they have planned for, what's coming up next, and how that could tie in, and then what to expect in other Venom movies, because it's supposed to be a trilogy. So anyway, those are my thoughts. I'm really happy to have seen this film. I really want to see it again. I don't have a whole lot of negative to say, except for I think that if you appreciate movies on the basis that you're a film fan more than, I think in my case, I'm a comic book nerd. I like to see superhero stuff. I like to see nerdy stuff. Um, I think you might have a little bit more to say in the realm of critique, but I enjoyed it. I appreciated it for what it was. A smaller, a very successful, smaller budget comic book movie that was just fine, in my opinion. I really, really liked it. So thanks, guys. Continue to let me know down in the comments what you guys think. I have a lot of fun hanging out with you guys, but I have to get back and clean my house for my wife. She was a wonderful woman today, beautiful as always, and she made the sacrifice to take care of the kids and watch the kids while I went to see Venom. And so for that, Shannon, I love you. Thank you so much. You are the bomb, and I owe you, and I love you. So, and I love you guys too. I love you more than a friend, but less than a lover. And yeah, Dusty says, thanks, Shannon. I'll make sure to pass that along. And you guys have fun. Go see Venom if you haven't seen it, and let me know what you think. I can't wait to talk to you guys about it. You guys enjoy the rest of your night or day. Stay tuned for more right here on The Stuff of Legend.